Brothers and sisters, let the world hear this thunder. Something has happened that Washington never imagined, that Paris never believed possible, that the entire West never thought would come to pass. Burkina Faso, a nation they mocked, a nation they tried to crush, a nation they thought would forever bow to their commands, has just signed a $30 billion defense deal with Pakistan. A deal that puts drones, fighter jets, and advanced military technology into African hands. The world is shaking. The West is in panic. Why? Because this is not just a deal, it is a declaration of defiance. For decades, the skies above Africa were guarded not by Africans, but by American drones and French fighter jets. For decades, our security was outsourced, our defense was controlled, and our sovereignty was mocked. But today, Burkina Faso has said, no more. Today, we claim the skies, we claim the future, we claim the right to defend ourselves. Washington asks, how dare they? Paris screams, who gave them permission? But listen closely, Burkina Faso does not ask permission. Burkina Faso does not beg. Burkina Faso acts, and by joining hands with Pakistan, a nation that has resisted Western pressure and built its own military power, we are sending a message to every empire. Africa will no longer be a playground for foreign armies. Think about it, $30 billion, not for aid, not for loans, not for exploitation, but for defense. For sovereignty, for strength. $30 billion that shatters the lie that Africa must always be weak, always dependent, always under the guns of foreign powers. $30 billion that tells the world, the era of Western monopoly over African skies is over. The United States is shocked because their dominance is slipping. France is terrified because their grip on West Africa is breaking. And Europe is whispering in fear because if Burkina Faso can rise, then Mali can rise, Niger can rise, Guinea can rise, and soon the whole continent will stand armed, sovereign, and unafraid. My brothers and sisters, this is more than a deal, it is the beginning of a new chapter. It is the spark of a revolution. It is the day the Global South stood up and said to the West, your time is ending, our time is now. Brothers and sisters of Africa, hear me clearly. A new day has dawned, and the old order is shaking at its very core. Burkina Faso, once dismissed as small, landlocked, and powerless, has risen with thunder in its voice and iron in its hands. And it has done so not in silence, but in a roar that echoes from Ouagadougou to Islamabad, from Bamako to Washington, from Niamey to Paris. Today, we declare that Burkina Faso and Pakistan have sealed a $30 billion defense pact, a deal that will see drones and fighter jets supplied, not as tools of oppression, not as chains of dependency, but as weapons of sovereignty, as shields of freedom, as the instruments of Africa's rebirth. For centuries, our skies were guarded not by us, but by the same Western powers who colonized us, enslaved us, and dictated the boundaries of our nations. They told us we could not dream of air power, that we could not manufacture weapons, that we must forever depend on their handouts and their cast-off machines. They armed us just enough to fight each other, but never enough to defend ourselves from their interference. That cycle has been broken today with this $30 billion deal. Burkina Faso is no longer a nation waiting to be protected. It is a nation ready to protect itself and its allies. This is not merely a transaction, it is a declaration. Burkina Faso and Pakistan stand together as partners, as equals, as brothers in the struggle against domination. We have chosen to invest in drones that can see beyond the limits the West wants us to see, and fighter jets that can guard our skies without the permission of Paris, Washington, or Brussels. This is the moment Africa proves that it can rise not as a victim, but as a power, a sovereign force that commands respect on the global stage. Do not underestimate what $30 billion means in this context. It is not just money. It is factories in Pakistan where engineers, scientists, and workers have perfected the art of defense manufacturing. It is technology that the West thought would remain forever under their lock and key. It is the courage of Burkina Faso to say, we will not be dependent on Mirage jets from France that can be switched off remotely. We will not be beggars of American F-16s, given only when Washington approves of our politics. Instead, we will forge our own path with partners who respect us, not because of charity, but because of shared struggle, shared vision, and shared destiny. This deal sends a shockwave across the world. Make no mistake, the Pentagon is panicking. The palace is fuming. Brussels is holding secret meetings. They cannot believe what they are witnessing. They cannot accept that a West African nation that only yesterday they dismissed as irrelevant now stands at the center of a strategic alliance with Pakistan, a nuclear power. A defense giant, a nation that has stood toe-to-toe with the very empires who believed themselves untouchable. They will call this reckless. They will call this dangerous. They will say Burkina Faso has invited instability, that we have made a mistake by defying them. But brothers and sisters, the truth is this, it is only dangerous. To them, not to us. It is only reckless to those who believed we would remain forever on our knees. What they fear is not instability. What they fear is independence. Look at the hypocrisy of the West. When they sell weapons worth hundreds of billions to dictatorships that do their bidding, they call it partnership. When they flood Africa with second-hand tanks, they call it cooperation. When they arm NATO with cutting-edge drones, they call it security. But when Burkina Faso buys drones and fighter jets from Pakistan, suddenly it is a threat. Suddenly it is provocative. Suddenly it is destabilizing. No, my people, the only thing destabilizing is the collapse of their monopoly. The only thing provoking them is the realization that Africa is no longer theirs to control. Let us not forget the symbolism of this partnership. Pakistan, too, was once under colonial chains. Pakistan, too, knows the pain of exploitation, the humiliation of being told by the West what it can or cannot produce. Pakistan fought, bled, and built its own military capacity against overwhelming odds. Today, that same nation extends a hand of solidarity to Burkina Faso, to Mali, to Niger, to all of West Africa. This is more than business. This is history coming full circle. This is Asia and Africa standing shoulder to shoulder, saying to the world, no empire lasts forever. Think, my brothers and sisters, about what this deal truly means. For the first time, Burkina Faso will have drones capable of guarding our borders, of monitoring our resources, of ensuring that no foreign mercenary army sneaks in under the cover of night. For the first time, we will have fighter jets that can patrol our skies not as guests, not as tenants, but as owners. Do you see what this means for the Sahel? No longer will France decide who FLIs above our land. No longer will America decide which drones strike in our territory. We will decide. We will protect our people with our own hands, and let the world hear this clearly. This is only the beginning. $30 billion today is the seed. Tomorrow, it will be 50. Next year, it will be 100. We are not just buying machines, we are buying the knowledge, the training, the technology. We are preparing our youth to be the engineers of Africa's defense future. Burkina Faso will not only operate these jets, it will learn to build them. Pakistan is not just a seller, it is a partner in development. Together, we will forge a future where Africa no longer imports its security, but exports it. Now, I know what they will say. They will whisper about Chinese influence. They will scream about Russian interference. They will invent lies about Islamic radicalization. But let me tell you the truth. This is not about China. This is not about Russia. This is not about ideology. This is about Africa standing with Asia. This is about nations who have suffered colonial wounds deciding they will never be slaves again. This is about us reclaiming our skies, our dignity, our destiny. The Americans will panic because they know drones are the new frontier of warfare. Whoever controls the drones controls the future. They use drones to police the world, to strike fear into sovereign nations, to intimidate governments into submission. By acquiring our own, we neutralize their power. We show them that their skies are no longer invincible, that their monopoly on fear is over. The French will rage because their entire grip on West Africa depended on us being weak, dependent, and defenseless. They stationed their jets in our land not to protect us, but to protect their corporations, their mines, their exploitation. With this deal, we show them the door. We say, your bases are no longer necessary. Your presence is no longer welcome. We will guard our own resources. We will guard our own people. And the Europeans will wring their hands because they know that if Burkina Faso can do this, so can Mali, so can Niger, so can Ghana, so can the entire African continent. They fear the domino effect. They fear the chain reaction. Because today it is Burkina Faso and Pakistan. Tomorrow it will be Nigeria and Turkey. Next week it will be South Africa and China. Soon the entire structure of Western dominance will collapse under the weight of African and Asian solidarity. This is why they are afraid. This is why they panic. This is why they scream. Because they see a world where Africa is no longer the beggar, but the builder. Where Africa is no longer the battlefield, but the fortress. Where Africa no longer asks permission, but gives orders. Brothers and sisters, let us celebrate this moment not with complacency, but with vigilance. For every drone we acquire, the West will send a spy. For every jet we fly, the West will plot sabotage. For every partnership we form, the West will attempt to sow division. We must be prepared. We must be united. We must recognize that the battle is not only fought in the skies, but in the media, in the economy, in the hearts and minds of our people. That is why I say to you today, this deal is not an end. It is the beginning. It is the spark that will ignite a fire across the continent. It is the moment Africa stopped being prey and became predator. It is the day we declared, with courage and conviction, our skies are ours, our destiny is ours, and no empire will ever dictate to us again. As the ink dries on this historic $30 billion defense pact, the world is trembling. The shockwaves are no longer whispers, they are thunderclaps. In Washington, advisors scramble to prepare statements, analysts sit in stunned silence, and generals draw up contingency plans. In Paris, panic spreads through the corridors of power, where men in suits ask themselves how Burkina Faso, a nation they thought was forever under their control, could have dared to defy them in this manner. In London, Berlin, and Brussels, there is confusion, disbelief, and above all, fear that the illusion of Western control is unraveling faster than they ever imagined. And why are they afraid? Because they know that what Burkina Faso has done with Pakistan is not just about drones and fighter jets. It is about rewriting the balance of global power. It is about tearing down the lie that Africa must always be weak, dependent, and under the shadow of foreign masters. It is about proving that a new world is possible, one where Africa and Asia rise together, united against those who have 4 centuries feasted on their resources, enslaved their people, and controlled their destinies. Let us ask ourselves, what is the United States without control over global arms trade? What is France without its grip on African skies? What is Europe without the comfort of knowing Africa will never dare to defend itself? This deal shakes the very foundations of their empires. It tells them, the age of monopoly is over, the age of intimidation is over, the age of Africa's dependency is over. Consider the drones. For decades, American drones patrolled our skies at will. They claimed it was to fight terrorism, but who gave them the right to fly above our homes? Who gave them the authority to decide which villages lived and which villages burned? They never asked permission because they thought we had no power to refuse. But now, with Pakistan's partnership, we possess drones of our own. We can patrol our borders, secure our resources, and ensure that no foreign drone never crosses our skies without consequence. Consider the fighter jets. France used its Mirages to bully and intimidate. They claimed to protect us, yet somehow their jets always protected French mines, French corporations, French interests. Burkina Faso now stands with Pakistan to say, we will defend our own land, our own skies, our own resources. The message is clear: no jet will fly over Burkina Faso unless it belongs to Burkina Faso. The West is not simply shocked by this deal, they are terrified of its consequences. Because if Burkina Faso can rise, then so can Mali, so can Niger, so can Guinea, so can every African nation tired of exploitation. They know that today's deal is tomorrow's revolution. They know that one domino has fallen, and many more will follow. They see a continent awakening, and they cannot stop it. Already, whispers are spreading. Nigeria, with its vast population and resources, asks, if Burkina Faso can acquire cutting-edge defense technology, why not us? South Africa looks at its own aerospace industry and wonders, why not deepen ties with Asia instead of Europe? Ethiopia, with its long history of resistance, asks, why remain dependent on Western arms when alternatives exist? The fire is spreading, my people. The spirit of sovereignty is contagious, and the West cannot contain it. And Pakistan's role must be understood with clarity. This is not charity. This is not opportunism. This is solidarity. Pakistan, too, has stood defiant in the face of Western pressure. Pakistan has built drones, missiles, and fighter jets not because it was given permission, but because it fought for the right to be sovereign. By partnering with Burkina Faso, Pakistan sends a message to the entire global South. You are not alone. You can rise. You can defend yourselves. You can break the chains. But let us not be naive. The West will not accept this silently. They will unleash propaganda, painting Burkina Faso as reckless, as dangerous, as a pawn of foreign powers. They will whisper of instability, of terrorism, of chaos. They will try to isolate us diplomatically, sanction us economically, and sabotage us militarily. But my people, we are ready. We are not afraid. Because we know that what we are building is greater than their threats. We know that what we are defending is worth more than their approval. This is not just about Burkina Faso. This is about Africa. This is about every child born on this continent who deserves to grow up free from the shadow of foreign armies. This is about every farmer who deserves to cultivate his land without fear that his resources will be stolen under the protection of foreign jets. This is about every African leader who dreams of sovereignty but is told it is impossible. We stand as proof that it is possible. We stand as proof that Africa can rise. Let us not forget the symbolism of this moment. For centuries, Africa and Asia were divided by colonial powers, kept apart by artificial barriers. But today, Burkina Faso and Pakistan stand together, rewriting that history. Today, we show that the global South is not a collection of victims, but a coalition of powers. We show that when Africa and Asia unite, the old empires tremble, and the United States let us speak of them directly. For too long, they believed that global military dominance was theirs alone. They believed they could wage wars across the world without consequence. They believed they could decide which nations lived in peace and which burned in war. They armed their allies to the teeth, yet demanded that Africa remain unarmed, vulnerable, dependent. But now the illusion is breaking. Burkina Faso's skies are no longer open. Fields for American drones. Our borders are no longer highways for their military presence. With Pakistan by our side, we declare that U.S. influence in Africa is not inevitable, it is not eternal, it is not unchallenged. This deal is a direct challenge to U.S. influence. It is a declaration that Africa does not need Washington's permission to exist, to defend itself, to thrive. And let me tell you this. If they attempt to respond with intimidation, if they attempt to punish us, they will find that Burkina Faso is not alone. They will find that Pakistan stands with us. They will find that Mali, Niger, and Guinea stand with us. They will find that Africa is no longer a continent of isolated states, but a fortress of united nations. Now, brothers and sisters, let us look beyond the present moment. Let us see the future this deal is building. Imagine a Burkina Faso that not only operates drones and fighter jets, but produces them. Imagine African engineers trained in Pakistan, returning to Ouagadougou, to Bamako, to Niamey, building factories, designing aircraft, creating jobs for our youth. Imagine a continent where our defense industry is ours, where our security is ours, where our future is ours. This is the vision, this is the dream, and this deal is the first step towards it. Do not let anyone tell you this is too ambitious. Do not let anyone say Africa cannot do it. For centuries, they told us we could not govern ourselves, yet here we stand. They told us we could not build economies, yet here we rise. They told us we could not break free, yet today we are free. And so, when they tell us we cannot build drones, cannot fly jets, cannot be sovereign, we will prove them wrong, just as we have proved them wrong time and again. Brothers and sisters, hear me well. This deal is not just about weapons, it is about dignity. It is about telling the world that Africa is no longer for sale, no longer a playground for empires, no longer a continent of silence. It is about standing tall, standing proud, standing unafraid. It is about writing our own story with our own hands on our own terms. And so, as we conclude this historic declaration, let me leave you with this truth. The old world is collapsing, and a new one is being born. The West will resist, but they cannot stop it. They will fight, but they cannot win, because history is not on their side. History is on the side of freedom. History is on the side of sovereignty. History is on the side of Africa. Burkina Faso has taken the first step. Pakistan has extended its hand. The path is clear. The question is not whether Africa will rise, but how fast. The question is not whether the West will fall, but how hard. The question is not whether we will be free, but whether we will be bold enough to claim that freedom with both hands. So I say to you, rise, Africa, rise with courage, rise with conviction, rise with the knowledge that you are not alone. Rise knowing that the skies are yours, the land is yours, the future is yours. Let this $30 billion deal be remembered not as a transaction, but as a turning point. Let it be remembered as the day Africa stood tall, defied the empires, and declared to the world, we are sovereign, we are strong, and we are here to stay.